For a cylinder in two-point perspective, you're going to need to know how to do an archway. So if you haven't done that yet, take a look at my other video or video somewhere else that shows you how you can do an archway and line it up with the vanishing points. But once you know how to do that, you can build a cylinder. So what I recommend first is that you build a glass box, and within there, mark the tops and the bottoms to give you a good idea to know where to shade or what other lines you can do to help make that cylinder work. This is what the end result could look like. Here I've got this medieval castle tower and this lone guard looking out. You can't see the glass box anymore, so I thought I'd set it up and show you how you can do that. I've got a horizon here. I've got two vanishing points. And what I want to do is I want to build that base. I'm going to line up my ruler to those two vanishing points. And you can see I'm going to line from the two outsides. I'm going to go to the opposite vanishing points, so that this will be like a square on the ground. And I don't know exactly where those are going to end up. So this will give me a little bit to erase. So here I've crossed the corners. I'm going to go through the middle. Then I'm going to look for those two arches. So it's one arch next to the other. That's what makes this doable for a cylinder. Like I said in the arch video, I find it easier to start from the back to the front. Now I mentioned at the start of this one going for a glass box, so let me set that up here for you. Verticals from the corners. That's all four corners. Just like the others, I don't know exactly how high they're going to go, so I'm going to guess, knowing that I have to erase some. Just like this lower edge goes to that vanishing point on the left, so will the top edge. This is the corner that's closest to me, so I know it's going to go down from here to the right vanishing point. Now I erase what I don't need, which would be all these lines out over here. I can get rid of the horizon too if it starts to look a little bit problematic. I've got this back corner. How do I find it? I go from the two top corners to the opposite vanishing points. And if I've measured everything correctly, you're going to see they match with that vertical. So here's my glass box. You can see that circle on the base, which this really makes sense. Here's how this came about. I was thinking about how within a square, if you have a circle, you just cram that circle in there. It's going to touch the square at 4 points. That's what we found by crossing the corners. Cross the corners, going through that midpoint, lining up like that. That's how I found back, front, back. Those are these, but on an angle seen down below. So I need to do now the same thing up above. Cross the corners. Side to side, back to front. Now I go through the middle, just like what I showed you on the bottom. That'll help me find where that circle is inside. Now this is pretty narrow. It's a little bit closer to the horizon, which you remember is eye level anyway. I'm going to start from the back to the front, start midpoint, end, start midpoint, end, start midpoint, end. And all being well, the sides of the top will be right above the bottom. So far my cylinder is built within this cube. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Now that I have the outside, you don't really need the vanishing points to be seen on this video. So here I'm going to darken up some lines so you can see them a little bit better, then I'll do a little bit of shading. So because it's above the horizon, I'm not going to see that far edge unless it's glass. But I will see this one down here. Those are some lines to help see. And now I'll do a little bit of shading. I'm just holding on the back of my pencil like this, so I don't add too much pressure. I'm using the side of my pencil so much of it makes contact with the page. I'll just use my finger, small circles. Just like how my dentist a long time ago said I should brush my teeth. You know. Go here with my other hand. That example is not to brush too hard, so don't shade too hard. It's one way to hold a pencil, it's one way to hold a toothbrush. Here we go. Got a little bit of shading. I'll do a little bit on the inside so I can make it a little bit more gradual. If you can get that gradation right, that blending from light to dark right, then it'll look more like a cylinder. So look from there back to the castle. You can see the similarities. Castle, I'm looking down on the whole thing. Here my eye view is in the middle, but that's how you build a cylinder. With the cylinder start, you can do a lot of different things with perspective.